talk about structure, there are several things to think about: the flow, the timing, and putting it all together. But let's start off by thinking about the flow of the information that you're providing. Now, the first bit of advice I can give you is to plan your program or your presentation in a logical way. After all, you are the expert of the information, so whatever the natural or logical order that you believe it to be of the information that you're providing or the topics that you're discussing, whatever order you think they should go in is probably a good place to start. Another thing to think about, though, is having a good beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, and end is something that's key to any successful presentation, storytelling, movie, song, numerous things. In this case, I want you to think about the beginning, middle, and end, not only in terms of the single video, but also in terms of your entire course. The entire course should have a beginning, middle, and end. So let's dive in a little bit further into the beginning, middle, and end flow. The beginning. The beginning is your opening. The opening is where you can give an overview to the information, explain the topic that you are discussing, and perhaps even discuss objectives for the course. You don't need to overthink it. It's that simple. Just give an overview. Next, you have the middle. This is the body. This is where you can go into detail about each topic that you're discussing. Finally, you finish with the end. That's your closing. It's where you can summarize the topic and what you discussed, wrap things up, so to speak. Just bring everything together and give a nice button on the end. I'm Jordan Wright. Thanks for watching. That sort of closing can wrap everything up. But in the closing, you also want to be able to tie up the loose ends or take all the information that you discussed over the course of your video or the course of the entire series and kind of summarize the topic and wrap it up for people. That's your closing. It's important to keep in mind that you don't want just a beginning, middle, and end for one video. You want to have a beginning, middle, and end for your entire series, your entire course. You want to make sure that the information that's presented is presented in a logical way. In this case, in this course, we're starting with some of the fundamentals of planning and pre-production before we go into discussing the hands-on production and the equipment that's required. So, just as in this course, in your course, it's important to also think about what information do people need up front before you go into the hands-on training. Another important thing in terms of structure is timing. Timing is one of those things that people always question. Is my presentation too short? Is it too long? Should I change it? Well, in terms of how long to present, it's really up to you, and it's subjective to the information that you're providing. So it really depends on how long it takes you to get your message across or to educate people with what you're wanting to educate them with. It's important to keep in mind that you don't need to beat people over the head. Once you make your point, you can move on. So as the great philosopher Alan Watts said, when they get the message, hang up the phone. Hopefully you have an outline with some structure to the topic and lesson that you're going to be presenting. Hopefully you've structured it with a good beginning, a middle, and an end. And now it really comes down to putting it all together, thinking about what other components can you utilize in the video that will enhance the production value. This could be something like a video clip that perhaps relates to the topic that you're talking about. This is something that maybe you'd want to cut away to and show people while your voice is still narrating the information. Or perhaps you have some images, some stills that you want to show. These could either be presented as a picture-in-picture, like this, or you could cut away from the talking head to the image that you're referencing. Finally, it's quite likely that many of you have a slide presentation that you might like to utilize. This is something that, well, can be done in a number of ways. First of all, you could do it like an image or video and just cut in the slide while you're talking. Or if you're using a green screen, you could put the slide and information behind you, and you could move off to one side and reference the different bullet points on the screen. This is something, again, that depends on your needs and how you want to present the information. But when it comes to slide design, well, it's important to do a few more things to the slides to make them presentable on video. Sometimes in presentations, when we're doing live keynote speeches, we have slides that are maybe visual aids or references that aren't necessarily the visual focal point, because we're there, we're talking, and people are focused on us. But on video, if I have a slide cut in, well, that is the visual focal point. So you want to make your slides look somewhat attractive, or at least well laid out and not too cluttered. You want people to be able to easily read the information you're presenting and not have to read for a long time. It's a good idea, first of all, not to write out all of the information on the slide in a paragraph, for instance, and read it off of the slide. Because showing people a slide and then regurgitating the information exactly verbatim as it's written on the slide, well, it's kind of tedious to watch and it makes it kind of boring for the viewer. So the information on the slide really just needs to support or offer an extension of what you're talking about. Another important thing to try for effective slide design is to only have 1 or 2 points per slide. Remember, in these videos, you can cut in as many slides as you need or present the information on the screen as you need it. So you don't need to feel like every slide counts and you need to put as much information as you can squeeze on there. Again, having less information on there presented cleanly will make it much easier for people to digest while they're listening to you speak. Another thing to think about is visually arranging your bullet points. Do you want them to fly in? Do you want them to dissolve in, and where they're not noticeably coming in, but they're just appearing on the screen? These are all things that are subjective to you and really up to you to work out. There isn't a right or wrong, it's up to you, whatever seems right and logical to the information you're presenting. Finally, when it comes to effective slide design, think about the graphics that you might incorporate. I'm not suggesting clip art and animations with sound effects, but I am suggesting perhaps some graphical bullet points or just some other elements on there, perhaps a border around the slides, something that makes it look nice, and again, and most importantly, something that is relevant to your topic and your information. Well, that wraps up our course on structure. We talked about the flow of your presentation, having a strong beginning, a good in-depth middle, and a wrap-up at the end. Thinking about timing, how little or long do you need to get the information across that you're wanting to teach? And thinking about what other components can you add to enhance the production value, adding video clips, images, or slides to your presentation can greatly enhance the overall look and feel of getting the information across. So that's structure. In the next course, we're going to go into detail on talking about equipment, both the hardware and software that you'll need to start filming your presentations and your training courses. I'll see you in the next lesson.